What's up, Buckeye Nation? Florida Cory here, co-host of the Scarlet and Great podcast. Johnny is really close to returning. I want to update you on that. We're very excited about that. Co-host here, Ohio State football. It's Scarlet and Great. Here on YouTube. Thank you for joining, guys. We're here to talk about none other than former five-star talent Tyreke Johnson, who announced he was transferring a while ago. I think people had long forgotten about it, but now today we find out he has a new home. And where is he going? He's staying in conference. He's going to Nebraska. The Cornhuskers are friends over at Nebraska who helped us greatly, tremendously. I can even, dare I say, took the lead last year in getting the season back. So I am not angry about that, and I hope he finds success in Nebraska. But the former 6'1", 195-pound five-star talent who was in the 2018 recruiting class for the Ohio State Buckeyes, seems like it's been forever. He went to the same high school as former Buckeye Shaun Wade, current Buckeye Marcus Crowley, running back Marcus Crowley, and current Buckeye commit Jaheim Singletary at Trinity Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida. For those who are wondering about Singletary, by the way, just relax a little bit. He's going to take visits. It's okay. He's doing everything right by the staff. One thing I did not know, I had to credit 11 Warriors for this, is I did not know, I wanted to see how many years Tyreke Johnson actually had for eligibility, and because of the COVID year, he actually has 3 years left, which is good because I didn't want him going to Nebraska when he only had 1 year or bust. Hope this works. Type of situation. So I'm actually very happy for him. So why would he choose Nebraska? You ask. Well, first of all, it's a good program. I mean, whether you want to be a fan or not and just make fun of it or mock it. Nebraska's been down lately. I get that, but they are a good program. This isn't going to Akron. This isn't going to some no-name school where you'll never be heard from again. You can go to Nebraska and make a name for yourself. And that used to be the norm, in fact. And Scott Frost is trying to restore that to that program. But I want to talk a little bit about the opportunity at Nebraska. Let's get into that just a little bit. First of all, obviously it's secondary. Where I'm not going to go over the whole roster, obviously, but one name I do hear on Nebraska Twitter a lot is Cam Taylor-Britt, and he is absolutely entrenched as one of the starters. Tyreke, you are not coming in to supplant Cam Taylor-Britt. Forget that nonsense. It is not happening. But the other corners, it's interesting because they're pretty young. Now, they're not young in the secondary necessarily and the starting at the starter positions, but they are young in the depth. And the other corner is a battle right now between Quentin Newsome and Braxton Clark. Braxton Clark's a redshirt sophomore, so I wouldn't say maybe I'm over-exaggerating a little bit when I say he's young. I mean, technically he's a junior. Sophomore Quentin Newsome. Newsome right now is leading, according to Coach Travis Fisher, I believe. So I think that's what I read recently after coming out of the spring game. I did a little bit of homework on this. Backing up, Britt is projected to be Nadab Joseph. He's a sophomore transfer whom was once considered one of the best JUCO players in the country, in 2019. He did not play in the spring game. And the interesting thing is, who took his place in the spring game, opposite of Braxton Clark, who was the number 2 corner, is Phelan Sanford. Now, granted, it's a spring game. They're probably just trying some things, trying to see some people who see some players and kind of see what they can do. Sanford, from what I understand, was a track star back in high school. So they're probably just trying to see what he can do. Played a little special teams last year. I believe I read that correctly. I apologize, whomever, if I'm butchering all this information. It's interesting because if that's the case and they're starting a walk-on, and Phelan Sanford behind Nadab Joseph, who's one of the top JUCO players in the country, I mean, obviously the depth chart is lacking maybe a little bit. And I remember last year I actually went on a podcast. I cannot remember the name of the podcast. It was a Cornhusker podcast. I think it was the Husker Boys. They were all cousins. Great group of guys. This is a long time ago. You have to forgive me on that one. But then they expressly said that they think their corners were going to be very good. And last year, Nebraska wasn't great against the pass, but they weren't horrible. They were in the middle of the pack. They were 57th in the country of pass defense efficiency, 47th, I believe, in yards per game allowed. So they could have been better, obviously, but not miserably bad. And obviously, they got a good guy and good one in Britt. They just got to figure out who the next guy is. So I'd say there's opportunity there for Tyreke Johnson. Obviously Britt, as I said, is entrenched the starter, but everything else at least seems somewhat open. At the very least, Johnson could crack the 2 deep, I would believe, and get serious playing time in the rotation. If not, just take that second spot altogether. Who knows? It's not that he's not talented. I mean, he's obviously very talented. And that's even if he stays at corner, because many Buckeye fans always felt that he should convert to safety. I've always kind of wondered why he didn't. He's more of a, like I say, he's more. I'll get into what his strengths are, but it actually made sense to play a little bit more safety. But Nebraska seems set at safety with 2 seniors in Deontay Williams and Markel Dismuke. They're backed up by 2 redshirt freshmen, though, although Miles Farmer, one of those redshirt freshmen, did play well at times last year, from what I'm told. So, but either way, there's opportunity to play, right? I mean, even if you're just Ohio State, what was he going to be at Ohio State? You got obviously Cam Brown, if he's healthy, is back as a starter. Seven Banks is back as a starter. Marcus Williams is the nickel back. Ryan Watts figures to be in there quite a bit as one of the predominant backups. It's a little bit more of a logjam at Ohio State, and it's safety between Proctor, Ransom. Ronnie Hickman's been really good, and he's not going to play the bullet position, obviously, when you got Craig Young there and Ransom and Proctor and just a multitude of guys who are going to fill multiple roles in that defense. So he could come into Nebraska and at least be a premier backup for them at the very worst case scenario, it seems. Now, Tyreke, what was he known as Ohio State? He was known as a physical corner out of high school. And Ohio State traditionally likes that. They like those man press physical corners. He was big, 6'1", 195. He was physical. I remember back in the day when he was in the All-American game. Again, he's a very talented guy. He was at the Army All-American game, and he was just mauling guys out of bounds. I mean, he's just a physical guy who likes to play physical. Tyreke fit the bill of what Ohio State really wanted in a corner, and he didn't pan out. And I'm sure there are a multitude of reasons why. But let's talk about a little bit what happened at Ohio State when Tyreke was here. Look, the biggest thing I can think of for what would really deter a young kid's growth, and this is, look, I know that I'm going to talk about the father of one of his teammates in high school and in college, and Shaun Wade. Randy Wade was always a little, I'm going to say angry or frustrated, but he didn't like the fact that they were having so much coaching turnover, which why would you? He wasn't in love with it, okay? And no, I'm not trying to start rumors. I'm not trying to say that, players' parents are discontent. No, Randy Wade's a Buckeye. Shaun Wade's a Buckeye. They love the Buckeyes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to start anything there. But, obviously that can get to you a little bit when you're thinking about your son. And what happened with Tyreke Johnson, same thing. He got recruited by Kerry Coombs. All of a sudden, Kerry Coombs is gone. Then, all of a sudden, Schiano's made a defensive coordinator because of the Tennessee fiasco. He's supposed to be the head coach of Tennessee. He comes back. And Alex Grinch, whom was supposed to be the next defensive coordinator for Ohio State, and as we're seeing what he's doing in Oklahoma, probably should have been the next defensive coordinator at Ohio State, over Schiano. Schiano comes back, and then as Coach Urban Meyer tries to help them to work together into some fact, but Alex Grinch and Schiano never really worked well together. We saw the fiasco the 2018 defense was for Tyreke, and he was coached by Taver Johnson, the cornerbacks coach. So what happens at that? Ryan Day takes over. Your head coach is completely gone. Talk about instability. Your head coach is completely different. The guy who recruited you is not there anymore. Now the defensive coordinator, because Ryan Day got hired, he's a new head coach, and Ryan Day's the offensive-minded head coach. He was not conversating with guys like Tyreke very often when he was just a quarterback coach / offensive coordinator on the staff. So what happens is he becomes head coach, tries to get to know the defensive players better, but he has to completely rebuild that defensive staff. So he brings in Jeff Hafley to coach DBs, Matt Barnes coach safeties. They also kind of changed the defense completely to be more that single high Legion of Boom type defense. It worked in 2019 because of the personnel Ohio State had. But what happens? Jeff Hafley does so freaking well with Jeff Okudah, Shaun Wade, Damon Arnett. Tyreke was not seeing time on the field with those guys playing. Jordan Fuller, another one at safety, who was a single high safety who played great that year, who's playing great in the NFL right now. You had so much talent going on, plus the guys that are starting now, and Cam Brown and Seven Banks and everybody, and Marcus Williams, who were backups back then. So we talk about a log jam now. It was really a log jam when in his younger days. So Jeff Hafley does such a good job with all that talent. He lands himself the head coaching job. Not the secondary coach, and co-DC and Jeff Hafley's gone after 1 year. And now he's at Boston College. So what happens then? Of course, then we hire Kerry Coombs back, the guy who recruited him. That's got to make him happy, right? Oh, we're getting Kerry back. Okay, now he's the DC and he's a play caller. Trying to run a defense, really, our personnel did not fit. And it did not look good last year. And the secondary did not look good last year for Ohio State. It didn't at all. And it's not because the talent isn't there. I think it's just because we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, personnel-wise. That's my personal opinion. But either way, you see the instability there in the coaching staff, through his entire tenure at Ohio State. So when he goes to Nebraska, Nebraska's had the same defensive secondary and defensive staff pretty much entirely the entire time Scott Frost has been there in 3 years. Eric Shenander is a defense coordinator, and Travis Fisher is a DB's coach. And as I said, they weren't that bad in the secondary last year. They weren't terrible. I mean, they weren't great, and the defense was not considered a strength last year. But you'd ask Tom Fornelli from 247 Sports, I believe, and he actually says he believes, if I'm getting his publication wrong, I apologize. Tom Fornelli has actually stated saying the Nebraska defense is going to be a strength this year. So obviously there's some talent to be had in Nebraska, plus there's also an opportunity in Nebraska in a stable situation in the coaching staff. I mean, he's a talented young guy. He's a former 5-star guy. He came from a great high school program that puts out a lot of Division I talent. And it just didn't work out at Ohio State. So he gets to go to a program that has defensive coaching stability, ample opportunity to get on that field. And let's just be honest, sometimes a change of scenery is exactly what you need. And I will say here, as a Buckeye fan myself, I speak for, I hope, all of Buckeye Nation, when we wish him nothing but the best going forward. Best of luck to you, Tyreke. I appreciate all your hard work. And I appreciate you coming to Ohio State in the first place. God bless you. Take care. And as always, guys, thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you like what you see in this channel. Please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm, helps us reach more Buckeye fans. It helps the channel greatly. We love to see your support. Thank you for all that. As always, guys, goodbye. God bless. And go Bucks.